What's going on, guys? This is Lee Van Dam here, and I'm coming to you with 5 things you need to know about Street Fighter 5. Alright, so let's jump right into things. Now, Capcom is calling Street Fighter 5 a homecoming for Street Fighter 2 players and Street Fighter Alpha players because they are really committed to taking the game back to where fundamentals mattered more. Now, I'm not saying that fundamentals didn't matter in Street Fighter 4. It's just that when you factor in how focus attack works, when you factor in how option selects work, a lot of people could get away with things because the option selects and how focus attacks works would cover so many circumstances. And so Street Fighter 5 is getting rid of that and is going to make everything really dependent on you committing to something, which Street Fighter 2 players are already used to, Street Fighter Alpha players are already used to, and more importantly, Street Fighter 3 players are also used to. So let's talk about it. The first big thing is going to be the triangle. Now, the reason I'm calling it the triangle is because there's another fighting game system that already uses this method, and that's Dead or Alive. And so the triangle is really important because it gives you a firm understanding of what will be the check and balance for a certain action. In Street Fighter 5, the 3 actions are going to be strikes, which beat backdashing, backdashing, which beats throws, and throws, which beats strikes. So let's start off by talking about strikes. Alright, so with strikes, I'm not going to go into detail about it because we all know that that's what happens when you push a button. So throw that out there. But what makes strikes really important in this game is that strikes are going to be a hard counter to backdashing. And the reason that's important is because in Street Fighter 4, that definitely is not the case. Street Fighter 4 backdashing was invincible at startup, so your strikes would whiff. So your options were, if you needed to chase down a backdash, you had to throw out something slow enough that would catch them once the backdash was vulnerable, and it had to have long enough reach. So of course that's where option selects came into play, where you were pressing crouch, light punch, and hard kick at the same time. So that way on block the light punch would come out, but on backdash the hard kick would come out because the game prioritized the strengths of the moves and all that. So that's gone. So that's something that you don't have to worry about, because if you hit somebody and they were backdashing, you're granted a counter hit. Strikes are also important because they generate crush counters, and crush counters are going to be huge, and they're so big I'm going to talk about them as one of the things that you need to know later on. And finally, with strikes, the normal priority system is going to make things very important. Now, players from Street Fighter 3 already know about the normal priority system, but to explain it in a nutshell, if you have 2 moves that hit at the exact same time, the stronger move's going to win. It's not going to be a trade, it's going to win. I'm going to queue up an example for you right here really quickly so we can talk about it, and then we'll move on to backdashes. Here's a quick clip where I thought I was controlling space, but it was actually the priority system at work. Notice when I played in slow motion that even though his jab is out at the same time, the fierce punch just kills it. There is no hitbox for the jab to trade with. The fierce punch just out prioritizes it and pops him in the face. Next, I want to talk about backdashing. And so backdashing in this game, its purpose is not only to create space, but it is to beat throws. And so backdashes are throw invincible. They are not strike invincible. So again, if you backdash while someone is throwing a strike, they'll be granted a counter hit, so that's bad. But here's a clip of using backdashing and movement to evade throws. So I'll show that right now. Notice how on both clips, just walking backwards alone or backdashing if you were at disadvantage is enough to evade the throw. You don't have to do anything else, just the backdashing works just fine. Just also be sure to watch out because people are going to start baiting backdashes, so that way they can hit you with crush counters and other counter hit attacks. So again, on wake up's not the best option anymore, so just be careful with that. Next, we're going to quickly talk about throws, and then we'll move on to our next point. All right, let's go into throws. So throws, they get beat by backdashes, but they beat strikes. Now, when I say they beat strikes, I mean if the throw's performed in time, then the strike's not going to happen. So that's really important because people are going to say, well, I tried to throw somebody, but I got punched. You still have to make sure that the throw has enough frames to come out so the strike doesn't hit you. But throws have really low range now, so they're definitely meant to be used extremely up close. It's going to be different because of all the kara throwing that Street Fighter 4 that everyone's used to. So you just have to get used to that. Command grabs are really good in this game because of how throws have been revamped. So command grabs are really awesome to use in wake up situations. I'm going to show you one now to where the command grab is used to eventually fish for a counter hit. So this clip goes through a lot of wake up situations with just two revs. So you've got the knockdown, initial knockdown, and then you've got the pursuit by Laura, and I'm playing the Laura doing the pursuit this time. And so when my opponent has a chance to wake up, the first thing they have to figure out is, what am I going to do? Because this game doesn't have a lot of universal options, and outside of an invincible move, really the only other choices you have is, am I going to do something where I can strike him, or do I need to get out of the way of the throw? So I start with a command grab, and so since he's still there, since my opponent's still there, they get grabbed. All right, so use the VCO to get back in, hop over. So at this point, he's going, okay, well, he grabbed me last time, so I can evade the grab with a backdash, or I can try to hit him before the grab hits. Because you can still try to hit me before the grab hits, but as you can see, neither one of those were successful because I set up with a meaty hard punch instead of a grab and was granted a crush counter. Last note, his throws are still unblockable, and very few throws are able to be comboed, but Laura's can be comboed. Laura's super can be comboed, and Zangief's super can be comboed as well. If we have more information, we'll go over more things, but that's just something to keep in mind. But let's go on to the next point, which is going to be V triggers. All right, so the V skill and V trigger system is what is new to Street Fighter V. Now, the V skill is something that's going to be unique to each character. Some of the results are similar, but they're not the same. And the V triggers themselves are vastly different. Even if you want to say that a lot of them are power-ups, what the power-ups do, it's very different depending on the character. So with V triggers, the way you build up V trigger is either by performing the V skill successfully or by getting hit. So it has a similarity to Ultra Street Fighter 4's Ultra combo mechanic, as in you can get hit and build up V trigger to give you access to things, but the V skill is the way you want to use it at all possible because, well, you don't want to lose life to take advantage of this if you can. So be sure to take advantage of that and plan around it, since you don't have to sacrifice life in most situations to build V trigger meter. Now, the V skill mileage is going to vary per character. Laura's is one I'm getting a lot of use out of as you notice in this clip, because I'm just using it kind of for movement purposes. I'm not necessarily always using it to hit someone, but just using it for movement. Now, the V trigger, what makes it really important is, one, you only get it during that round. So if you have a V trigger that's full, that's going to go away when the next round starts. So you want to use it as often as you can. And they're built to be used as often as possible. They're not built to be used like an ultra where you want to save it for the right moment, because the right moment can be a lot of different things. One thing that's probably going to be really common with the V trigger is it's going to be used to extend combos. And so I've got a couple of clips of combos that were extended by V trigger, just so you can see those. So I'm going to play those now. What's so awesome about this is that some moves that are not special cancelable, well, the V trigger gives you a way to have enough hits done to be able to use a move after that that is special cancelable. So we start off with Laura's standing medium kick, which she can cancel it into her V skill, but she can't cancel it to a special move. The reason the move is so good is because it's very fast. So if you block something, chances are, especially like, say, for example, a sweep, the standing medium kick can actually punish the sweep before it recovers. So you're able to take that punish and, just like you saw, turn it into more than 30% life loss, just because you activated the V trigger. And you still have your super meter after that, and with Laura, in her case, you still have your V trigger power up on to be able to enhance your abilities for the remaining time. So it's a really awesome feature that you want to get used to with your character and figure out the best way to use it. You watch a lot of videos, you see how Charlie wants to use it to confuse you with the teleport or to extend combos. Other characters use it for mostly combo extensions right now, and the power up course afterwards. But the V trigger is going to be really the crux of this game, and as we learn more about it, the more valuable it's going to become each round to making your gameplay successful at a high level. That's awesome. The next thing I want to talk about that's going to be really important is blocking, because blocking has changed a lot. So stay tuned and let's get into that. Awesome. So let's talk about blocking, and let's talk about what blocking is now and what it is not. So blocking, of course, is the passive way to avoid being hit, because all you do is you hold back, and your character normally in Street Fighter either took no damage from normal attacks or took extremely reduced damage from special attacks. So it's very good at minimizing damage with little effort. Now, the reason blocking is different now is because any attack that you block now removes a little bit of health and replaces it with white health. Now, normally, this is not so bad because you recover white health over time once you're not in that blocking situation anymore. But what's really important about blocking now is, because it does cause you to lose health in some way, you have to find a way to get away from your opponent in order to regain that health back. And that's the problem. So if you're blocking all the time, not only are you not regaining that health back and the white health keeps being chipped away, but more importantly, your stun meter doesn't recover while you're still captured in that block screen. You actually have to be in neutral for the stun meter to start recovering. And so we got a couple of clips of what happens when you're just getting bombarded, because I was able to keep this guy blocking long enough to secure the stun. So I'm going to show that to you now. And then I've got another important aspect of blocking, which is actually really good, and I'm going to show it to you after that clip is over and after we talked about it. Awesome. So the biggest takeaway from that is between the blocking and between the trades, you'll notice that my opponent's stun bar just did not have any time to recover. They were never able to get to the offensive in order for their stun meter to go down, nor were they ever able to just get any breathing room. So every little hit, when you have a stun meter that is affected by you being in block string and not being able to go back to neutral, it's going to count, it's going to add up. So you have to be really mindful of that, or else you will be dizzied, which I'll show in a later clip happens to me as well, because we'll just show a whole match at the end. But one thing that's really great about blocking now is that when you're almost dead and you have no life left, you can only be chipped out by supers, or critical arts as they call them. So that's really cool, because now that magic pixel is more important, and it's going to be something where your opponent either has to force the situation by time over, they've got to force the situation by causing you to guess wrong, which means you have to either be thrown or you would have to be blocking the wrong direction or position in order to lose the round. Or they can just kill you with a combo, but then you wouldn't have the magic pixel to worry about either, because you're already dead. So it's really good news. I'm going to show you a clip of how not being chipped out works, just so you can really fully grasp it, because I didn't think about it until after this clip was over. So here it goes. See, in other Street Fighter games, that would have been a wrap. But because it's Street Fighter V and you have to block a critical art in order to lose chip damage, it's not the case. So be really careful about that, because at the end of the game, you know, we're all trained to go for those block strings, chip somebody out, but you can only chip someone out with a super. So the game's going to become much more aggressive at the end, because you're going to have to continue to play to win. You can't just try to overwhelm somebody with block strings to beat them. So that's really good news. Very good to know. All right. The next thing I want to talk about, because it is really important, is the new crush counter system and counter hits in general. So let's hit it. So the counter hit system in Street Fighter V is going to remind people more of probably Alpha 3, some Third Strike, but more Alpha 3 than anything else, because the counter hits themselves cause much more dramatic effects. So the obvious big addition is crush counters. Now, crush counters are certain moves that are normally going to be hard punches or hard kicks that cause an extended animation whenever you hit them on counter hit. Let's take Ken for example. So with Ken's crush counter, Standing Fierce, he has enough time after his crush counter to cancel into his V skill to run up to his opponent and combo them. Laura, of course, has the same kind of situation, because she has the V skill that also promotes movement. So let's revisit the clip where I set up the crush counter, and then I'm going to show you a combo that I should have done after the crush counter landed. So you see how much life was taken off already? So let's look at the crush counter combo I should have done at that point. So that was the same sort of setup, and then it just showed you what I should have done with the crush counter combo afterwards. Now, looking at that, that's not only was a lot of damage, but that was also a lot of stun, and so that could have been enough momentum to completely swing the round on its own. That happens. Crush counters are also very important, because Now, when you land from a Dragon Punch, you're considered to be a counter hit state. So even after the Dragon Punch is blocked and you land, if you get hit with that hard punch, you get hit with that hard kick, it's going to be considered a crush counter. And so people are really going to be able to do their worst for you attempting to beat them with your invincible move. It's something that you really have to pay attention to, and we're all really going to have to get used to, because I know for one, I'm used to running off with a Dragon Punch when I felt like it. I wouldn't use it, I'd say, irresponsibly, but I definitely didn't watch what I was doing, because the punishment versus what was actually happening wasn't as grave as it is in Street Fighter V. So we've got to be really careful about that. Other things to note about counter hits is counter hits still give you additional frame advantage to where moves that normally wouldn't link will link. So there are going to be a lot of counter hit specific combos that people are going to come up with, and when you combine them with the extra hit stun you can get from V triggers, that's going to be something where you can really turn the tide of the battle by using all the mechanics available. And so with counter hits, not only do we need to be mindful of them, but we also need to know that when you see tendencies like people backdashing, go ahead and hit that button so you can get the counter hit. Definitely get used to that, because I know early on backdashing is still going to be prevalent until we all learn that it's not the answer. And so that's all I've got on counter hits right now, but it is really important that we understand how much that's going to turn the game around if that were to happen. So let's move on to our final topic and finish this up. My final topic is going to be the safety of normals. Now, my background is from Tekken. I was a Tekken tournament player for a very long time. I main Lee Chaolan, and I did really well. And one of the things in Tekken that Tekken teaches you, and Street Fighter Third Strike teaches you, is that blocking the correct move, whether it's normal or special, will give you plenty of time to punish that move, as long as you know ahead of time what you need to do. So this game is going to be one of those games where the up-close fighting is going to be very intense, because the more we play it and the more comfortable we get with the game, the more we're going to see that there's a lot of stuff that just is not safe at all. And at high level play, those moves that are not safe are going to really lead to some real heavy punishes, to make it where you have to be very particular with what you throw out. So one thing that you'll want to do when this game comes out is you want to get used to how moves look in animation, how they look in recovery, and be sure to try things, because really obvious moves to get used to are sweeps on block, because sweeps have a recoil animation on block. And so try to attack after blocking a sweep, see what you get. Try to attack after blocking a hard punch or a hard kick, and just see what you get, because you want to really do your best to interrupt your opponent's flow of the game as quickly as possible. Because if not, everything's going to start to run together. All the moves are going to look like they're safe and that you can't beat them, and you just can't survive with how much damage you're dealt with in this game. Also, the other point with knowing how the normals function is the Dragon Punch is not the end-all be-all in this game. So knowing how the normals function, knowing how much advantage you may have after blocking your normal is important, because this is a game where you can beat the Dragon Punch. They'd have to use their specific invincible Dragon Punch, where if you block that, you're going to get a free counter hit combo anyways. So get used to challenging block strings. Get used to challenging attacks after you block them, because the sooner you start doing that, the quicker you'll learn what you can and what you cannot influence, and the better off you'll be with this game, because this game is going to definitely be a dogfight when it gets up close combat, and you're going to want to make sure that you take advantage of every opportunity you can to stop someone from gaining momentum, because this is a 2 combo game. It does not take very much after you're opened up to lose all your life, so got to be really careful of that. But those are the 5 things that I felt were really important for anybody getting ready to play Street Fighter V, especially if you're coming from Street Fighter 4, should know. I'll have some more things that I'll talk about once the game comes out. Please let me know your thoughts of this video. I'm trying a little bit of a different format, and I'd love to know what you think about it, so leave your comments down in the comment section below. I'll have a link, of course, to the gameplay I had for the beta. Be sure to check out other players' beta gameplay as well. Things may be subject to change, but we'll just figure that out together. But you know, until February, as far as this game's concerned, I look forward to playing everybody I get a chance to do. This is Lee Van Dam. You guys take care. God bless. And be sure to just check out the other games that I'm going to be playing in order to tide me over until Street Fighter V comes out. Peace.